Why is everyone talking about Project 25? What exactly is it? How will it impact businesses worldwide? It all started after the recent debate. Many eyes turned to Project 2025, a comprehensive plan crafted by the Heritage Foundation, a major conservative think tank and one of Trump's biggest supporters. This initiative is not just a blueprint, it's an extensive 800-page document outlining proposed reforms across various sectors of the U.S. government. Although Trump has stated he isn't familiar with all the details, the Heritage Foundation's influence and alignment with his broader goals make it a major component of his potential presidency. With the recent debate between Trump and Biden and seeing American history, it is pretty clear that Americans are with support of Trump. For now, if Trump wins, Project 2025 will be implemented immediately. The primary aim is to reshape the federal government by concentrating executive power and rolling back what its proponents see as bureaucratic overreach. The plan suggests a drastic reclassification of federal civil service workers, shifting tens of thousands of positions to political appointments. This change is intended to ensure that the federal workforce is more responsive to the president's directives, effectively replacing what is perceived as a liberal-leaning bureaucracy with loyalists supportive of conservative policies. Critics argue that this could lead to a form of autocracy, eroding the checks and balances fundamental to American democracy. One of the most discussed aspects of Project 2025 is its proposed economic reforms. The Heritage Foundation advocates for significant tax cuts, particularly for corporations, with the belief that lower taxes will spur investment and economic growth. This aligns with Trump's past economic policies, which focused heavily on tax reductions. The plan also calls for extensive deregulation, particularly in the environmental sector. By rolling back climate change regulations, the project aims to boost the fossil fuel industry, which could lead to short-term economic gains, but raises concerns about long-term environmental sustainability and public health. Another major point in Project 2025 is the overhaul of federal agencies. The plan recommends dismantling the Department of Homeland Security and significantly reducing the roles of the Department of Education and the Environmental Protection Agency. The Heritage Foundation argues that these agencies have become too powerful and unaccountable. By decentralizing their functions, the plan aims to return more power to state and local governments, aligning with conservative principles of limited federal government. The Department of Education, for example, would see its programs either transferred to other agencies or terminated. This move is justified by the belief that education should be more localized, allowing states and communities to tailor their educational systems to their specific needs. Critics fear that this could lead to disparities in educational quality. In terms of healthcare, Project 2025 proposes significant changes to Medicare and Medicaid. The plan suggests cutting funding for these programs and introducing reforms to align them with conservative principles. This could include increased privatization and reduced federal oversight. While proponents argue that such changes would lead to more efficient and cost-effective healthcare, opponents warn that it could reduce access to essential services for vulnerable populations. One of the more controversial elements of Project 2025 is its stance on social issues. The plan advocates for policies that reflect conservative Christian values, such as rejecting abortion as health care and eliminating coverage for emergency contraception under the Affordable Care Act. The Heritage Foundation also recommends enforcing the Comstock Act to prosecute those involved in distributing contraceptives and abortion-related materials. These measures have sparked significant debate, with critics arguing that they infringe on personal freedoms and women's rights. The potential impacts on businesses under Project 2025 are multifaceted. On one hand, the reduction in corporate taxes and deregulation could lead to increased profitability and investment. Businesses may find it easier to operate without the burden of extensive compliance requirements, particularly in sectors like fossil fuels, which would benefit from reduced environmental regulations. However, the broader social and economic implications could create a more complex environment for businesses. For example, the proposed cuts to social programs could lead to increased social inequality and public discontent, which can affect consumer spending and market stability. Businesses might also face reputational risks if they are seen as benefiting from policies that harm the environment or reduce access to healthcare and education. Moreover, the shift towards political appointments in the federal workforce could lead to increased volatility in government policies. Businesses that rely on stable regulatory environments might struggle to adapt to rapidly changing rules and directives. This could particularly impact industries like healthcare, education, and technology, where federal regulations play a significant role. The question of whether Project 2025 is a good idea for America is complex. Supporters argue that it would streamline government, reduce unnecessary regulations, and promote economic growth. They believe that a more centralized executive power can effectively implement policies that reflect conservative values and priorities. They also argue that reducing the size and scope of the federal government would enhance individual freedoms and state sovereignty. Critics, however, fear that Project 2025 could undermine democratic institutions and lead to autocratic governance. The concentration of power in the executive branch and the replacement of civil service workers with political appointees could erode the checks and balances that are fundamental to American democracy. They also warn that the rollback of social and environmental protections could have long-term negative consequences for public health, social equity, and environmental sustainability. In conclusion, Project 2025 is a bold and controversial initiative with the potential to significantly reshape the U.S. federal government and its impact on business and society. Its success and desirability depend on one's political and economic viewpoints, as well as the broader implications for democracy and governance in America. As we consider the details and potential impacts of this plan, it is crucial to weigh the benefits of economic growth and deregulation against the risks to democratic institutions and social well-being. Whether Project 2025 will indeed make America great again is a question that will only be answered with time, as we see how these policies play out in the real world. For now, it's important to keep an open mind, consider all perspectives, and focus on achieving the best outcomes for the country as a whole. Hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel by clicking the right circle, and if you want to see more of our topics, check out the right video.